Hi, I'm Marc, and today I have one of my top 10 for you again. My top 10 Irish novels for 2022. And we'll start right away with number 10, Jane Casey's Left for Dead. Investigator Maeve Kerrigan is at the beginning of her career. Fresh out of police academy, she threw herself into her job as a patrol officer with a zest for action. As if the cruel reality that awaits her there wasn't enough, her male colleagues also treat her with prejudice. But when a woman is badly abused and found half dead, Maeve must prove she's just as good, if not better, than the rest of the team. The author Jane Casey grew up in Dublin, studied English at Oxford and Irish literature at the famous Trinity College in Dublin. After graduating, she worked as a youth book editor for various publishers. She lives in London with her husband, a criminal lawyer, their son, and cat Fred. Well, I can't visit them. I'm allergic to cats. What a shame. But let's come to number 9. Police at the Station and They Don't Look Friendly by Adrian McKinty. It's Belfast 1988. A man is found dead with an arrow in his back. They were hardly Indians, and Robin Hood shouldn't be the perpetrator either. And since the victim was just a drug dealer anyway, they could put this curious passing away with a clear conscience. But Inspector Sean Duffy has a hard time putting murders to rest, even when his superiors are pushing him to do so, and the house blessing for the young Duffy family is going badly wrong. And someone else wants to make Duffy give up. One night he finds himself in the woods where 3 armed masked figures are forcing him to dig his own grave. It's a new case for Sean Duffy, the Catholic cop of gloomy 80s Belfast. Hunted by unknown forces, threatened by internal investigations, pressured by his child's mother, he tries to solve one of the most insane murder cases of his career without losing his own life. Author Adrian McKinty, born in Belfast in 1968, is one of the most important crime writers in Northern Ireland. After studying philosophy at Oxford University, he moved to New York and Denver, where he took a variety of jobs from bartender to rugby coach. After a few years in Melbourne in Australia, the award-winning author and journalist is now back in New York with his family. And with that, we come to my top 8. He by Johnny Connolly. An old man looks back on his life. It begins before World War I, when a young British comedian travels to America. He has little luck on stage, but then he shoots his first film in a village called Hollywood. A few years later, he is a world star together with his best friend. The two will be inseparable until Ollie's death, after which he will never direct a film again, but will write dialogue for himself and Ollie until the very end. Connolly tells this life against the fascinating backdrop of the Dream Factory, which was so full of shine and shadow. Author John Connolly was born and raised in Dublin. He studied English at Trinity College there and then became a journalist. His crime novels about private investigator Charles Parker are international bestsellers. The novel about Stan Laurel was a bestseller in the English-speaking world and won the Audience Award at the Irish Book Awards. And I'm always having the same books on my German and my English channel in the top 10, and this book is not that well known in Germany, and that's why I absolutely want to include it here as well, so my German viewers will get to know this book as well. And so we are at top 7, Absolute Zero Cool by Declan Burke. Billy Carlson just has to make it, absolutely. The hospital porter who does a bit of euthanasia on the side is struck as a character in an unfinished and unpublished novel. Trapped in his limbo, mentally deranged and close to insanity, he urgently needs to do something to finally be published. Because if it's no longer enough to get old people around the corner, as we would say in German, that's not the English one, but to kill them in the end, there's probably only one choice left: to blow up the hospital. Only his creator, the author, can stop him. Absolute Zero Cool turns all traditions of the crime genre on its head and thrills and disturbs in equal measure. The novel is a witty, self-reflective assault on the genre itself, an imaginative story about the human mind's ability to be not only creative, but also destructive. The novel won the 2012 Goldsboro Crime Fest Last Laugh Award for Funniest Crime Novel, was shortlisted for the 2011 Irish Book Award, and was named one of the Sunday Times Best Books of the Year. Author Declan Burke is one of Ireland's most innovative crime writers, A trained journalist, regularly reviews crime fiction for several national newspapers and magazines, and runs the crime website Crime Always Pays. His debut, 8-Ball Boogie, was also released in France, by the way. And now we come to top 6. A White Arrest by Ken Bruen. At 62, Chief Inspector Roberts is almost too old to be a cop, but he makes up for his age with a ferocity that younger detectives can't match. After 4 decades on the job, he has a daughter who hates him, a wife who cheats on him, and a bank account that's getting emptier every year. But on London's dark streets, Roberts is a force to be reckoned with. With his partner, the gleefully brutal detective Sergeant Brand, Roberts searches for every cop's dream: White Arrest, a high-profile success that will make up for all their past failures. In this novel, their target is a bat-wielding maniac who kills drug dealers, and another murderer roams London. Someone is targeting England's cricket team. Ken Bruen's Brand series is an unforgettable portrait noir of London's seedy underworld. Author Ken Bruen is one of Ireland's best-known crime writers. Born in Galway, he travelled the world for 25 years before taking up writing in the mid-1990s. As an English teacher, Bruen worked in South Africa, Japan and South America, where he once spent a short time in a Brazilian prison. He wrote 2 long-running series, one starring a disgraced ex-cop named Jack Taylor, the other starring a London police officer named Inspector Brand. Bruen lives and works in Galway with his wife and daughter. And now we come to top 5. Ghosts of Belfast by Stuart Neville. Gary Fegan was considered the tough man of the IRA. He served 12 years in prison for numerous murders. When he comes out again, the world has changed. Peace has been proclaimed in Northern Ireland. His former companions have come to terms with the new era. Only Gary Fegan doesn't succeed. He's being followed day and night. The spirits of his 12 victims seem to haunt him. Innocent men and women and children. And they give him orders. If you want me to go away, you must kill those who gave you the orders to kill. His first victim is Michael McKenna, an old friend-turned-politician who pulls the strings. Unrest breaks out in Belfast. Who could have killed an old deserving IRA man? Are certain forces in the process of reviving the old conflicts? Well, Fegan continues. 11 ghosts are still pursuing him. The author Stuart Neville, born in 1972 in Armagh in Northern Ireland, has tried his hand at many professions. He was a baker, musician, composer, salesman, and hand double for an Irish actor. He's considered one of Northern Ireland's most important and successful thriller authors. And now we come to number 4. Darkhouse by Alex Barclay. After the bloody and tragic end of a routine investigation, Detective Joe Lucchese resigns from the NYPD and moves with his wife and son to a quiet town on Ireland's east coast. Are they happy? Do they feel safe? And they will experience a nightmare far worse than the one they left behind, because Joe Lucchese has an enemy who will do everything possible to destroy the family idyll. An enemy driven by unbridled hatred. Lucchese, by the way, was the name of the murderer of Sissi, Empress Elizabeth. Author Alex Barclay was born in Dublin and worked as a journalist for British women's magazines. Her long-cherished wish to write a thriller before reaching the age of 30, she was able to realize with the novel Darkhouse. Alex Barclay is considered one of the greatest discoveries in modern psychological thriller. Blood Confession is her second novel. She is married and lives near Dublin. And then we already are at 3rd place. Girl Unknown by Karen Perry. One afternoon, Zoe Berry stands in Professor David Connolly's office at Dublin University and claims to be his daughter. David is stunned and can't believe his ears. After the initial shock, he introduces Zoe to his wife Caroline and their children. Soon the young woman is part of the family and even moves in with the Connollys. But while she appears shy and vulnerable in David's presence, she shows a different face to Caroline. Cool, calculating, almost devious. Is Zoe who she says she is? Who did the Connolly's let into their home and into their lives? A daughter? A sister? Or a complete stranger patiently waiting to destroy all of their lives? Authors Karen Gillis and Paul Perry met at a literary festival in their native Ireland and decided to write a novel together. From two perspectives, Karen took the female, Paul the male. Karen Perry was born and the idea took off. Karen and Paul live in Dublin with their families. And now we already are at number 2. The Dying Breed by Declan Hughes. As a private detective, Atloy is used to unusual assignments, but this also pushes him to his limits. The influential Father Tyrrell commissions Ed to find a person who has been reported missing for 10 years, the former jockey from the Tyrrell's horse racing stables. Is the minister bound by the seal of confession, or is he hiding more about the case for other reasons than he pretends to be? After all, his family is one of the most powerful and shady clans in town. When Ed starts investigating the missing person in Dublin's underworld, 3 people are murdered in a short period of time, and all appear to be connected to the Tyrrell family. Author Declan Hughes, born in 1963, is an Irish novelist and playwright and co-founder of the Rough Magic Theatre Company, Ireland's most important contemporary theatre. He lives in Dublin with his family. And now we are at my top 1. And, of course, it's Dracula by Bram Stoker. Of course, this book has to be number 1 when talking about Irish authors, from my personal point of view, of course. And even in 2022, this is still a must-read. London lawyer Jonathan Harker travels to Transylvania. There he is supposed to advise Count Dracula, who wants to emigrate to England and for his purpose acquires a property in London. During his journey, Harker encounters very suspicious and superstitious figures who warn him about the Count. In the Count's castle, the days pass quietly at first, since the host is not around even during the day. But then Harker becomes suspicious because the Count has no reflection. The young Englishman soon senses the uncanny power of his opponent, and he knows that he will never get out of the castle walls alive if he doesn't escape. In London, an army of unsuspecting victims awaits the vampire. The character of Count Dracula is one of the most well-known literary figures in the world. Ever since the vampire novel Dracula by Irish entertainment writer Bram Stoker appeared in 1897, it has become an integral part of literature and film. The cinema in particular quickly discovered the visually stunning vampires, but this did not detract from the genre-specific qualities of the literary original. To this day, Stoker's novel about the young lawyer Harker and the demonic undead Dracula is an eerily beautiful reading experience. The author Abraham Stoker, born in Dublin in 1847, was bedridden by an illness until he was 8 years old. After completing his studies, he first began a civil service career, but soon moved to London, where he worked for 27 years as a secretary and manager of the Shakespearean actor Henry Irving. In 1912, Stoker died poor and unknown in London, exactly 10 years before his Dracula became the darkest hero in world literature through Murnau's film Nosferatu. Bram Stoker is now known almost exclusively as the spiritual father of Dracula, although he also wrote short stories, theatre reviews, lectures, and 16 other novels. And I'll hope you like this one, and maybe you have a suggestion for a specific country where are many good authors I should read books from. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.